Hello again. Welcome to the ongoing series of how I made my Ironman suit wearable. This is going to be part 5, and I'm going to discuss the biceps and the neck. So jumping right into it, let me grab a bicep. I have those behind me. These are much improved from the biceps that I made on my Mark 43 suit. I learned a lot from those, and I used a lot of how I made those on these, and then made some big improvements. Starting with on both these and the Mark 43, I used elastic straps with buckles to attach these to the arms. Now, what they do is they basically hold it up nice and tight to the shoulder. On the last suit, they buckled into above the shoulder. On this particular suit, I have them attached to the neck. So on the neck are the elastic straps that these actually buckle to. So that's the difference there. Now that wasn't like a major difference or anything like that, or overly necessary. It just worked out better for them to be attached to the neck as opposed to attached to the body, because it made it easier to put on and off, because I was able to put the biceps on and then the chest and everything last. So it helped for actually the sequence of putting it on. The other major improvement with the Mark 43 arms, the way that they sat on my arm, they were actually attached to a section of the forearm, and there was actually an elbow and a hinge joint. So having those on, they were attached to the forearm, so whenever I bent my forearm or bent my arm, they wouldn't really move because they were connected to the elbow. So they didn't really have place to go. This was not connected to the elbow. The elbow was completely separate, or there was no elbow in this particular suit, but that helped a lot, because what had happened to the bicep by having it connected that way is whenever I bent my arm, I would crush the lower portion of the bicep, and that was a gold piece on that suit. So the wrinkles and cracks and stuff were really visible. On this one, I not only separated it from the forearm, making it easier, it just sits on the bicep. Not only that, but I added hinges that I 3D printed. I had to design them. They're just single hinges. Now, I think I have a closer video of these. I was going to try and do a close-up, but I think I have it, so it'll probably be in the playlist if you check that out. Now, basically, those are just hinged on. It's just hinged on the top, and then there's a spring tensioner on the bottom. So when I bend my arm, the bicep section has a place. It can go somewhere. Like, it's not fixed in place where if I bent my arm it would get crushed. It's just separate, so that if I am moving my arm, it can move around up and down, not any which way, but up and down, and it has a lot more freedom, and that proved to be successful because I didn't crush them. So that worked out pretty well. Now these are, you can probably tell from the way that I'm holding these are a little bit more rigid. You could probably tell visibly, just because there's so many curves in this, it's kind of visible. These are also ribbed, much like the forearm, with metal sculpting wire. The bicep had to be ribbed because, again, that was separate. Having that be a separate piece, that had to have its own structure to it. When you're making these things out of these pep files, they're kind of designed to all be connected, and when you start separating pieces like this, they get kind of flimsy and they don't hold their shape. So you got to add some kind of ribbing to it, especially on this foam, because I use the thinner foam, the cheaper foam. That's what I ran into. So that is the other section there. Now, in order to actually, like, not only does this buckle hold it up onto the arm, but there's also an elastic strap on the top here. And when I put this on, this elastic strap goes to the top of my bicep. So the tension of that, again, with my arm inside of it, that kind of holds it in place, lets it get buckled, and then the buckle is just kind of extra. I've never actually worn it without having the buckles on, but I'm fairly certain that they would hold themselves on. There's quite a bit of tension in there. Not enough to cut off circulation in the arm, but it helps it hold it on. Now, there's also a light in the tricep section. Now, I'll turn that on. That's right inside here. Now, this is just a, easily accessible flashlight. That's all it is. Store-bought. I didn't do anything special to it. It's just a little flashlight. Got a package of them and just threw that right in there. No tech knowledge or wiring knowledge needed. Just threw it right in there. Now, it has a color diffuser on here. Now, I'm going to talk about that a little bit because I talked about lights in some of the other videos. But on the biceps, or these tricep lights, the lights that are on the hips, or the thigh sections rather, and I have lights on the back that you'll see in a later video when I cover that part. Those are all diffused with just a single sheet of this is 0.25 millimeter clear styrene. That's all it is. And then this blue is this was a sheet of paper from a scrapbooking section in an art store. So this kind of see-through paper, and all I did was spray the paper with Super 77 spray adhesive, let it sit for a second, and then put the plastic or the styrene sheet on top of it. And then I cut all my lenses out of this material. That gave it a nice blue diffusing to it. You know, it's still kind of light white because the light is so close to it, but it gives it, you know, a little bit of color to it, which is nice. So that's how I did those. That pretty much, I think, covers the biceps. So we'll talk a little bit real quick about the neck. The neck is pretty simple. That's just, Velcro around the back. Nice place to hide it. So right around the back here. Elastic straps. These are for, like I said earlier, the biceps. Now these all sit underneath the shoulder pads here and are hidden. The other design portion of the neck is when I made the followed the PEP file, I kept the throat section separate from the two sides and the back, and I attached those with pieces of elastic down through the front. This way, this gave me a lot of flexibility here, or stretch and movement, so that when I'm wearing it, it's not cutting off breathable air, and or circulation to my head. It's nice, and it's actually very comfortable to wear this. There's no ribbing or anything in this. This was meant all just to be nice, soft foam and very pliable, movable, because your neck needs to move around and be comfortable. Otherwise, you're gonna have a real bad time. It's a stiff neck all day. But that's what I did there. Like I said, that's very simple, and that's pretty much those parts. The other bicep is identical, to the right. So that's pretty much that. Gonna move on to the next part. See you there. Thanks for sticking with it. Later.